When you open a dictionary, um, you generally expect a word to behave like a map.
Right, like a fixed set of coordinates, X means Y, and that's it.
Exactly. You look up a street, the map points you there, and you're good. But then, you encounter a word that simply refuses to sit still.
Oh, the chameleons of the language world.
Yeah, exactly. A word where that dictionary map doesn't just show you a street, but suddenly changes the entire landscape depending on the emotional state of the person reading it.
Which brings us to why we're here today.
It does. It is Tuesday, July 7, 2026. The North American World Cup is in full swing, and today we are doing a deep dive into a single Portuguese word that is just absolutely dominating global sports headlines.
It really is everywhere right now.
It is. And we're looking at a fascinating linguistic and cultural breakdown. This is sourced from major Lusophone sports media, so, Portugal's Bola, Record, Público, and Brazil's GloboEsporte, plus an official promotional video from the Portuguese Football Federation.
A really rich set of sources to pull from.
Definitely. And our mission today, this deep dive, is explicitly tailored for you as a language learner. We want to keep the language clear, simple, and direct while unpacking the dual meaning and the etymological evolution of a word that is acting as this massive emotional anchor for millions of people right now.
And that word is ilusão.
Ilusão. Okay, let's unpack this because it is absolutely fascinating how learning a language isn't just about memorizing vocabulary lists. It's about understanding the very soul of a culture.
It really is. And before we can fully understand why football fans in Lisbon or Rio are reacting the way they are this week, we kind of have to travel back in time.
Right. Get away from the modern sports desk for a minute.
Exactly. We need to dig into the ancient roots of language itself to understand the structural DNA of this word.
So where does it start?
Well, if you go all the way back to the Latin root, illuder, it wasn't about magic tricks at all. It was actually about mockery.
Wait, mockery? Like making fun of someone?
Yeah, it literally meant to play a joke on someone. You were the punchline. If you break that down, you have the prefix in, meaning at or upon, and luder, which means to play or to mock.
Okay, so how do we get from being the punchline of a cruel joke in ancient Rome, to crying tears of joy in a North American football stadium? There has to be a missing link there.
The missing link is really the cultural necessity of language. And what's fascinating here is the massive semantic divergence across different language families over the century.
Right, because languages don't just evolve in a vacuum.
Exactly. In English, the word illusion held tightly to those negative roots. I mean, it means a misconception, a false impression, a deception.
Right.
The core implication in English is that you are disconnected from reality and usually to your own detriment.
Wait, so if I say I have an illusion in English, it's like falling for a magic trick or seeing a mirage in the desert, I'm being fooled.
You're being tricked.
Yeah. But even in English, we have words like dream, which can mean a literal sleep hallucination or a beautiful lifelong goal. Are you saying the Portuguese ilusão is entirely unique, or is it just the scale at which the sports media is using it right now that makes it so unprecedented?
It's really the primary dominant way they express the specific type of sporting hope. That is what separates it.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Over the centuries, the Portuguese ilusão underwent this beautifully romantic evolution. It still carries that baseline meaning of a misconception like if a magician performs a card trick, it is still an illusion.
All right, the literal trick.
Yeah, but it morphed to primarily describe an ardent anticipation, a profound dream or hope for something beautiful to happen, fully acknowledging that it might not be real.
Wow. So while the English speaker sees an illusion as, like, a scam to be avoided, the Portuguese fan sees it as a mirage worth chasing into the desert, even if they know they might be fooled.
That's a great way to put it.
And our sources highlight a very specific phrase driving the current media narrative: alimentar uma ilusão. It translates to feeding an illusion, but practically it means to nurture a dream.
Yeah, and the verb alimentar is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
How so?
Well, you are actively keeping a beautiful hope alive. It implies that this feeling requires constant care, It's fragile, and it needs sustenance to survive the harsh reality of a major sporting tournament.
Which brings us right to the present day. We understand the theory now, right? This dual nature of the word as both a false trick and a beautiful dream.
Right.
But how does this apply to 22 guys kicking a football around a pitch in North America? Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the current 2026 World Cup context.
The stakes are incredibly high.
They are. You have this post-Ronaldo transition era colliding with a prime golden generation. You have legendary veterans taking their final bows alongside absolute superstars at the peak of their physical primes, like Bruno Fernandes and Bernardo Silva.
It's an unprecedented roster.
Exactly. And because of this specific, highly potent mix of talent, the word Ilusão exists in this delicate state of superposition for the fans.
Superposition is a really helpful framework here. It's like in quantum physics, where two opposite states exist at the exact same time until you observe them.
Right, Schrödinger's football dream.
Exactly. The fans are experiencing the pure, unadulterated dream of winning the ultimate trophy while simultaneously maintaining a self-deprecating nod to reality.
Because they know the tournament odds are brutally slim.
They do. And the anxiety of reality is always there. The Portuguese media and fans have been heartbroken before, despite being heavy favorites.
Yeah, it is impossible to read the current coverage in Record or Bola without feeling the ghost of past tournaments. Let's look at the precedent.
2002 is a big one.
Think back to 2002 in South Korea and Japan. You had the original golden generation, heavyweights, heading into the tournament with massive expectations. And they crash out in the group stage to the USA and South Korea.
And then, of course, 2022.
Fast forward to 2022 in Qatar. Heavily favored again, a deep run expected, and they get stunned by Morocco in the quarterfinals. When you have that kind of institutional trauma, you can't just blindly use words like destiny or certainty.
Which forces the language to adapt. That trauma is the crucible that shapes how Ilusão is used today. The sports journalists are using this word carefully, constantly pulling the narrative back and forth between hope and caution.
Público had a quote that perfectly captured this tension. They wrote, "A ilusão que nos move é a mesma que nos assusta."
Such a powerful line.
It is. For you as a language learner, that translates to, the illusion that moves us forward is the very same one that terrifies us.
And this raises an important question about how media shapes national expectations. The media is using the word as a dialectic caution.
So like a warning.
Exactly. They are actively warning the team and the public not to be blinded by the false illusions of their own hype. They are communicating a very clear directive. Yes, we have the dream, but we need to turn that dream into cold, hard dominance on the pitch, or else it just becomes another historical mirage.
So what does this all mean? I would argue it goes even further than a directive. Is this just a built-in psychological defense mechanism for sports fans?
How do you mean?
Like hoping for the absolute best, but you quiet your mind with the expectation that you are going to be tricked by the football gods, to soften the blow of defeat. If you lose, you can shrug and say, well, it was just an illusion we know is a trick all along.
That protective layer is undeniably part of the cultural psychology, because inherently, an illusion is something that was always likely to vanish. You are bracing for impact while reaching for the stars.
It's a fascinating coping mechanism.
It is, but it goes deeper than just modern sports psychology. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this feeling of chasing an impossible glittering dream across the ocean is baked directly into the DNA of Portugal's history.
Right, that collective anxiety we're seeing on the pitch today isn't just a modern sports phenomenon. It's actually a modern symptom of a very old cultural condition.
We always hear about the concept of saudade when we talk about Portugal.
Right, that melancholic, bittersweet longing for something absent, usually something in the past. But Ilusão feels fundamentally different in its directionality. It is projecting forward. It's a longing for a future that hasn't happened yet.
That is a crucial distinction to make. If saudade is looking over your shoulder at the shore you're leaving behind, Ilusão is staring into the fog ahead, hoping you spot land before the supplies run out.
Wow, yeah.
And when you combine that cultural feeling with the historical reality of the Age of Discovery, you get a very specific psychological projection. The Portuguese were the ones sailing out into the terrifying unmapped oceans in the 15th and 16th centuries.
And the mainstream media outlets today are explicitly making this connection. They view these uniquely talented football players as modern-day navigators.
Exactly.
Instead of wooden ships, they're wearing football boots. But they are still crossing the Atlantic to the Americas.
They are chasing this elusive golden trophy across the American continent, which is a form of romantic heroism. You sail into the storm despite knowing how incredibly dangerous the waters are.
That mirrors the definition of Ilusão flawlessly.
It does. It is the pursuit of a beautiful dream, executed with the full, sobering awareness of the peril involved.
And if you want to physically see this word in action, the official promotions for this World Cup serve as a visual masterclass.
Oh, absolutely. The Portuguese Football Federation promos?
Yeah, the FPF. They're using phrases like vai dar Portugal, which means it's going to be Portugal, alongside a massive promotional campaign simply called It's Portugal Time.
Those campaigns are designed from the ground up to amplify that exact feeling of historical destiny. They aren't just selling a sport, they're selling a national narrative.
If you watch the It's Portugal Time official promo film, you aren't just seeing a highlight reel of goals. You're seeing the mechanics of Ilusão in real time.
It's very visceral.
It really is. The video doesn't shy away from the anxiety. It shows the tension. The fans with their hands over their faces, the agonizing near misses, the sheer physical toll of hoping for something that might break your heart.
And then the payoff.
Yes. It builds this massive collective anxiety and then shatters it with the release of a goal. It shows unprecedented national unity. It is millions of people allowing themselves to fully buy into the dream, visualizing the absolute peak of Alimentar uma Ilusão.
It is a potent piece of media. But there is a strategic layer to all of this that extends far beyond the emotional high of a promotional video.
Right.
The media sources we are looking at do not see the 2026 World Cup as an isolated event. It is not solely about what happens in North America this summer.
You're referring to the 2030 horizon. 2026 is essentially the overture to a much larger symphony.
Yes. Portugal has been officially confirmed as a co-host for the 2030 World Cup alongside Spain and Morocco.
Huge deal.
It is, and the Lusophone media, particularly outlets like GloboEsporte, analyzing it from a broader South American perspective, they are viewing the current tournament through a highly forward-looking lens.
So they are playing a massive long game. There are major events happening concurrently, right? Like the Portugal Football Summit being held in Miami. We are seeing a seamless blending of football, economics, and international diplomacy.
Definitely. The media frequently notes that the Ilusão being planted in North America in 2026 is a catalyst.
The catalyst for 2030.
Exactly. The summit in Miami isn't just about selling jerseys, it is about building structural and economic bridges. They are utilizing the emotional fervor of this World Cup to establish logistical and diplomatic dominance ahead of their home tournament.
So this entire 2026 North American tour is essentially a massive marketing and emotional foundation for 2030. You are saying that regardless of whether Portugal lifts the trophy this year or gets knocked out in the semifinals, the energy they are harvesting, this Ilusão, is being bottled up and shipped back to Lisbon as fuel for the next 4 years.
The Ilusão nurtured today is the absolute bedrock for 2030. They are feeding the dream now, exposing a new generation of fans and players to the pressure of the global stage so that it reaches full maturity when the world comes to their shores.
It's brilliant.
It's an incredibly sophisticated emotional investment strategy.
It really makes the word robust in a way that a simple dictionary translation just fails to capture. It isn't just a fleeting wish. It is a strategic emotional investment disguised as sports fandom.
Exactly.
So let's bring this all together for you, the listener.
Yeah.
We started with a rigid dictionary map, and we ended up navigating the complexities of international diplomacy, sports trauma, and historical destiny.
We really covered a vast amount of cultural territory.
We did. And here is the core takeaway for you as a language learner. In the Portuguese language press, Ilusão is not just a naive fantasy. When you read that word in a Bola or record, you are looking at the ultimate prism through which an entire culture deconstructs the sport of football.
Perfectly said.
It is a complex blend of their historical sense of maritime destiny, their sky-high expectations for a legendary group of players, and a very sober, self-protective awareness of reality forged by past tournament failures.
It is the ideal linguistic tool for a sport where a single, unpredictable bounce of the ball off a goalpost can completely rewrite national history.
And understanding the depth of Ilusão gives you a distinct superpower. You aren't just translating sports headlines anymore. You are actually reading the collective psyche of the Lusophone world.
You're reading between the lines.
Yeah. You understand their fears, their history, and their highest hopes, all packed into a 6-letter word.
The evolution of Ilusão shows us how a word born from the Latin concept of deceit can slowly, over centuries, grow to represent a nation's most unifying hope.
It's beautiful, really.
It is, and it leaves you, the language learner, with something to explore on your own. Think about your own native language. How many words that you use every single day secretly carry the echoes of their exact opposites?
Oh, that's a great question.
How many words are quietly shaping the way you perceive your own dreams, your own anxieties, and your own failures without you even realizing it?
That paints a striking picture of how we interact with language. We think We're just using words to map out our thoughts. But the words are secretly drawing the boundaries of what we can even hope for.
The map is actively changing the landscape.
Keep questioning those maps, keep uncovering those hidden histories in the words you use, and above all, keep learning. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We will see you next time.